In more Twitter art drama news, we once again have somebody who stole art, but this time it's AI art. So this is a tweet put out by FuwaCH or FuwaCH. Just because I see a lot of VTubers entering this one right before I sleep, please be aware this account is cleaned up / traced AI. They are trying to ask money for it. If it seems too cheap, it probably is. A lot of their work has weird issues, and the YCH thing every single year is different. I don't usually call people out, but they're lying and taking commissions. It's in reference to this tweet. Summon your character here art raffle. To enter, like and retweet, drop your OC. If you guys don't know what your character here is, I will explain it to you so the rest of this makes sense. You get some bases, right? Which is like a character with no hair or any other identifying features. If you have a character you would like to use, either your VTuber or a cartoon character or this, that, and the third, they would then draw in the relevant, unique elements over these base. But everybody who purchases this will get the same base. As in, if you purchase this one, everybody's gonna get a photo of the girl with her hands up like this, okay? If you purchase this one, everyone's gonna get the photo of base pose of the girl holding the ball. But your unique character elements will be drawn on. So if your character has pink hair, they will draw in pink hair. If your character has blue eyes, they will change the eyes to blue. This is the follow-up. The ears were the biggest giveaway. It's a shame because it seems like they do have some ability to draw. What a waste. So here, this is a photo from base 1 of the ear. Look at how it's drawn. This is photo 2. Now the ear is drawn a little differently now. And here is photo 3. Like, look at this ear and then look at this ear. These are two ears on the same head, but why do they look so drastically different? Some people are saying that's how I draw ears, or some people are saying this is how I draw ears. The issue is not how they drew the ear, for the most part. The issue is the inconsistency between poses. This is from pose 1. The ear is drawn like this. This is a pretty standard way to draw ears, but this is the second ear. Look at the difference here. Okay, 1, look at the bottom of the ear. It makes a V shape. We see the V here. Look, it curves in, but it makes a V. Look at here. There's an S shape at the bottom of the ear. And then this one again is 2 ears on the same head. One is a V, and then one is like a U on the bottom here. And let's not even talk about the rook area of the ear, where this one has like really, really heavy black shading, like completely filled in these like shadow details. And this ear just doesn't have that. And there's no rook. It's just like 2 letter ends basically, and then the rest of it. You wouldn't draw 2 ears on the same head in 2 different ways. That is where it indicates it's AI art. This is the original artist, the fake AI artist that did this. Okay, let's look at the poses. This is pose 1. This is pose 2. This is pose 3. Let's revisit pose 2. Look at this Ganyu drawing that was found by May_Nashi. It's literally the same pose. They're both eating a popsicle. The water is like the same flowing. My theory is the artist took Ganyu and then stuck it in AI so that it would draw in other elements. So it would add in like different water, different clouds, and then draw the body, and they kind of filled in the blanks a little bit. Another thing too that you can see, these clouds are clearly AI generated. These are clouds, yes, but why do these look like, for lack of a better term, they look like kind of like little sperm just like wiggling around in the sky? This is what looks like what AI thinks clouds are, right? There's no distinct cloud pattern to it. And the same thing with the water, which is where you can also see the water is very AI because it's literally just like random ribbons. There's some main giveaways. So ribbon number 1 already looks really wonky. Okay, so the way a bow looks, there's 2 loops and then there's like 2 legs. But if you look at this first loop here, right, this should be a loop down and this one is like a higher loop up. But then like, what is this little thing here? Is that one of the tails? But typically the way an artist would do it, they wouldn't draw it like that, just disappearing into the back of the thigh like that. Maybe you just draw 1 ribbon or whatever. Look at the ribbon behavior here. So again, we have a bow, right, with a knot and then 2 legs. But why does the ribbon like bulge here? Look at this loop and then there's a bulge. I think what this is, because they used AI art, the AI was like, oh, when we get to the top of the ribbon, there should be a knot. So it took like the ribbon itself, tried making a knot at the base of it because it's bulging weirdly. This doesn't make sense either. And here's the thing. This person did a good job of hiding it. They took somebody's art, they fed it through AI, and then they then drew over the AI output. So there are hand-drawn elements of it, which makes it more confusing than if it was strictly just AI. Another aspect that's weird about this art piece. What are these blobs on the ball? This shading makes no sense whatsoever. It could make sense if there's leaves and there's light streaming through the leaves and then it would create kind of like leaf shapes. There's no leaves anywhere. There's nothing that would cast highlights that look like literal blobs. Weird lighting is another indication of AI because AI lights up art when they draw highlights. They light it up with no rhyme or reason. Look at the bikini bottom here. Why is there a highlight here? Some people could argue, oh, it's the bounce light from the water on the crotch, but like there would be no angle for there to be a bounce light because the body is held against the stomach like that. If there were bounce light, it would not be here. The ball should be casting a shadow here if there's like a light. Going over this one, oh yeah, here again, more examples of wonky art. Look at the bow, the string on this bikini. There's one loop, two loop, and then what's this? So there's a bunch of glaring issues with these bows on the bikini. Okay. One, why is there just white inside this loop? There's no sky. As you can see here, there's some blue, there's like a cloud, but the white cloud doesn't fill the entirety of this bow. But then if you look in this bow, it's just all blank. The cloud literally goes here and then disappears. But if a cloud of this size should extend all the way down like that. And then why is there just like a tail here, but then the tail disappears? If there is a tail here, it should also show in this loop. So again, this is very AI art behavior to me, where AI is just like bugged out on this part of the drawing. The highlights make no sense. The sun is supposed to be streaming from behind her, so that's why her face is cast in shadow, and her arm is up, blocking the sunlight. So why is this bikini strap not cast in a shadow as well? The arm should be blocking the sun from hitting the bikini, from hitting her boobs, unless there's some sort of like a secondary light source in front that we don't see. But if there is a secondary light source in front of her that is making her boobs glow, then why is her face cast in such a heavy shadow? That front light source should light her boobs and her face relatively evenly. So with this artist, I couldn't find that other reference tweet. There's some inconsistencies that also reference AI art. This is a big one. This drawing looks really cute, right? Guys, what is happening here? What is happening to the foot? There's no heel and all the toes bleed into each other. That's again, really AI rendering behavior. Look at the rest of this art. The rest of this art is very clearly cut. Like look at the skirt. It's like clear cut, fully rendered, fleshed out, this, that, and the third. And then the toes are just like barely rendered. This one's a huge giveaway for me personally. Look at the hand of this art. Where's the thumb? And then all the fingers have really sharp nails. So given the length of this fourth finger, the nail should extend a little bit further downwards here. It should jut out a little bit. The Fryren one is a very strong atrocity of AI art. This might make more sense if I draw over it. Normally, I don't like drawing over people's art, but if it's AI art, whatever, I don't care. About this Fryren art that makes it weird, okay? That things conveniently disappear on this art piece that doesn't make sense. There's a lot of really weird elements to it, okay? One, again, why is the arm just dripping? If this person can draw, this person seems pretty good at drawing water droplets on the body, right? This water droplet looks pretty realistic. This one looks pretty realistic. So why is it when the water is dripping from the edge of the body like this, that it looks like the body is legitimately melting off? You would never draw water like that. This is really weird. Another thing is the leg. She is sitting on a plank. This is a flat plank. You see this? There's just plank lines going down. Why is her leg bent like this? If she's sitting like this, it looks like her leg is going to continue like this as if she's sitting on a chair. Okay, this is like a fucked up chair. This is not how you would draw a leg if she's sitting on a plank. This would imply that the edge is supposed to fall off down like that, but it doesn't. If you were to draw her sitting on a plank, you would either draw her leg like continuing outstretched this way so that she's sitting like with her legs straight, or maybe you draw her kneeling so her leg is completely under her body, not like this, because the continuation of her leg does not make sense for the platform she's sitting on, and there is no indication that the platform falls off like this so it becomes a box. Another one that is really weird is the hair, because AI has a tendency to make things disappear, where it's like if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. Good artists know there's continuation. Look at the level of rendering in this art piece. This level of rendering would indicate to me that this artist knows how to draw, where they would not be making these beginner mistakes that we often see with beginner artists. There is nothing wrong if you do happen to make these mistakes genuinely as a beginner artist, but somebody with this level of rendering, of composition, of anatomy should not be making these mistakes. Why does the hair disappear here at the shoulder, like right at this point, and then it only appears at this aspect of the arm? If the pigtail were to be like this, and it's wavy because it's wet, right? You would kind of expect maybe like there would be strands that would peek out on the left side of her arm too. People are defending her, being like, you're hating on a small artist. And the thing is, this person is not a small artist that's making genuine mistakes. This person is somebody that is drawing over AI art. And me pointing these out hopefully can really illustrate to you how we can point this out. This Fryren drawing is the blatant and biggest abuser of AI art, okay? If something gets obstructed by view, AI has a tendency just to make it disappear altogether when it should later appear. Referring to, again, the hair, right? The thickness of the pigtails right here when it touches her shoulder should indicate that there would be some strands peeking out on the right side of her arm. But however, we only see the strands on the left side of the arm here because AI forgot. Another aspect where we can see this is this side of the hair, which is even more, okay, let's go to the bottom here, which is even more blatant. Again, if you look here, she is holding a big chunk of her pigtail. How convenient is it that this pigtail happens to disappear here, where it doesn't reappear again below her elbow? How odd is it that one pigtail is astronomically shorter than the other pigtail? This pigtail goes all the way down to mid-arm. This one disappears at her elbow. We can make the argument, oh, she's holding it up, so it gets a little bit shorter. It does not get that much shorter. It should still reappear a little bit, like beneath the arm, like this. About the pigtail, because it appears wet, it could be stuck to the arm. There's a concept in art about clarity in your drawing, where there are some things that in a human body when you're posing would make sense. You know, one aspect is like, if I am just drinking out of a cup, I just have like, you know, my water here, whatever. But drawing your body like this actually doesn't really look as good in art. The reason being is the silhouette test. If we were to then black me out and black out my body, you would see my shoulder, my arm, and my elbow disappear, but you would not see any other element, right? Because the water is actually on my chest like this. So if you were to black me out in a silhouette, you would not see me hold a water bottle. So there's a concept in art of clarity where you would actually move the body and silhouette around to make a better distinction of what you are trying to portray. So if you were to try to portray water drinking, you wouldn't necessarily portray me holding it like this. You would have me at an angle with the water bottle removed from my body and like this. So if you were to then take me pose like this and cut it into a silhouette, you can clearly see that my arm is holding a water bottle. There is an arm and there is here, and I would be at an angle, like, I don't know, about to drink it or whatever, right? This would clearly indicate silhouette-wise that I am holding a water bottle a lot better than it would if I'm holding it like this. So this same element actually applies to other elements of art as well. About, for instance, this pigtail, where it could be really, really reasonable, right? That if you get out of the water and you're completely wet, that your hair is sticking to you, like, you know, it's just like cling wrap sticking to you and you look really bad. But because this is an art piece, they're going to obviously draw the hair not sticking to the body as much, so we can still see the pigtails or whatever. In reality, if you got wet with pigtails, it's going to stick to the side of your face like this, okay? It's not going to like puff out like that. But for artistic purposes, it would be prettier to draw the pigtails not as wet. So for that reason, also for the silhouette test, it would make a lot more sense to also have the pigtail kind of stick out on both ends like this so it's more clear. This part of the hair makes no sense whatsoever. And let me explain. If you see here, look at the strands of hair going inwards. These are very thin strands of hair. Very, very thin strands of hair. So why does she end up with all of this hair down here? It looks like you literally chop the hair off and then she's holding like extensions in her hand. And that's again because this is made with AI. AI cannot comprehend that. Why is like one pigtail astronomically thicker than the other pigtail, but like both of the pigtails up here look like they start with the same amount of hair? You could argue, oh, some of the hair is disappearing behind her shoulder. She's only holding one clump of the pigtail. The way this pigtail is drawn makes it look like it's only like a little bit of hair. This angle is going in, this angle is curving in. So it looks like the hair ends like this. So it looks like there's like one really choppy piece of bangs and then some little strands of hair going into the hand, and then all of a sudden she's holding a giant clump of hair. But the most identifying aspect of why this pigtail looks really wonky is here. Look at this ear. Her hair strand is going this way, right? Which would indicate that it would continue moving like this. But this chunk of hair that should belong in this section of the head is just gone, omitted, nada, disappeared. And you know why? Because it's AI. AI has a tendency where one object disappears behind another, in this case, the hair disappearing behind the ear, that it forgets to reproduce it on the other side. And this is what I was pointing out with all the other elements too. Same thing with this pigtail. Because the pigtail disappeared behind the arm, the AI forgot that there should be hair here. Because this pigtail disappeared behind the arm, AI forgot that it should extend beneath the elbow like this. And then what is this? What is this like little strand of hair back here? Doesn't make sense in anime art. And then what is this? This is supposed to be a water droplet, but it doesn't even look like water. There's a random circle here on the art, which doesn't make sense because it looks like AI was trying to make a water droplet and forgot. Like, look at all these random circles that are on her body that are not fully rendered water droplets. Here's another little circle. Here's another baby hair. No. Have you seen the way anime artists draw anime? There's anime girls. They don't give them baby hair. Another element that's really weird is this finger. Where did this finger go? Is this finger going down like this? That's just an awkward way to pose fingers because the rest of these fingers are straight. It doesn't make sense to bend this one in this abruptly because it looks bad, to be blunt. You should taper this off a little bit so it looks a little bit more natural. It blends in with the rest of the fingers. But another element as to why the hand is weird is if we look at this one. What is this? Why does it look like it's like a little shark or something with like teeth? Waka waka waka. It's like Pac-Man over here. This cut into the finger is so deep. Her wrist starts here, but yet it looks like the gap in her thumb exists at her wrist. If I were to try to mimic this hand pose, I don't even, like, my wrist is over here. This pinky is starting at the knuckles of the rest of the fingers. You see, this is knuckle, 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 and then pinky. What is this thing here? Right, and there's like a knuckle joint, there's like a joint, and then this finger starts all the way back here. The thumb is supposed to have like one bone like here from your wrist to your thumb joint before the thumb actually separates from the rest of your hands. But the thumb, for some reason, starts all the way here when the thumb should disconnect from the palm at this joint. I have pointed out so many inconsistencies with this artwork, okay? And a lot of devil's advocates would be like, Kat, what if this person is just new to drawing and they're making a lot of beginner mistakes? What if it just new? Oh no, and they have no idea what they're doing. This person with this level of rendering and this level of anatomy, ignoring the drawing weird glitches with anatomy, like this hand being completely off kilter, the rest of the anatomy looks good. The boobs, the torso ratio, the hips, the thigh, all of that looks really good. The rendering looks really good, right? We can argue some of the highlights are a little bit very, very blended out, but still, the rest of the highlight for the most part looks pretty good. So somebody with this level of anatomy, ignoring mistakes, and rendering should not be making mistakes like this. Small clump of hair and then a big clump of hair appearing afterwards. And then again, we could argue that you as an artist could make mistakes here and there. You can make a mistake, whatever, you know, you slip up, you make a boo-boo, you cut the thumb in a little bit too much. There shouldn't be this many errors. For somebody with this level of rendering and this level of anatomy, this many errors that are suspiciously similar to AI art errors. Time crunch? No. Time crunch wouldn't make you make another leg for the loop like this. Time crunch wouldn't make you draw a bunch of random little circles on the body. Like if anything, you would draw less, right? Time crunch would maybe could argue you would make things disappear behind the arms just to make your life easier, but it wouldn't like make you draw these extra little baby hairs. That's extra work for no reason. The Fryron one is like the biggest, I think, abuser of AI art that I've seen amongst their artwork. But we have other examples here. Where's the belly button? Because this suit has a belly button cutout, but there is no belly button. And the fingers are really different. Here they made them look like sausages and toes. Here they drew the fingers with like long fingernails. And then they have this one. Wow, so pretty, so gorgeous, right? The model's really pretty, don't get me wrong. And by the way, I want to clarify, this is not fault on anybody that commissioned this artist, okay? Because I'm of the assumption that everybody who commissioned this artist probably had absolutely no idea this artist was using AI art. Oh, look how convenient. We once again have the tendency of things disappearing behind the body, and then when they should reappear, they don't. Look at this ribbon of hair. Look at how thick this ribbon of hair is. You would expect this ribbon of hair to continue going downwards past the flowers on the arm, except it doesn't. It literally just conveniently disappears behind this person's arm. Look at this strand of hair back here. Look, this strand is flowing this way. How convenient this strand disappears behind this strand. How convenient this strand disappears behind this same strand. Look at this like single tiny little thin strand of hair that magically appears into this like whatever triangle piece. Why is there like another strand of hair like this? This ribbon here, why is this ribbon outline like this? There's like a blob that appears and then it disappears like that. Ribbons are the same length. They might bend and fold a little bit. They wouldn't randomly get thicker and then randomly get thinner for no apparent reason. So same thing with this tail. Look at this tail of the ribbon. It looks like an L, like how this person uses AI art. Why is it shaped like that? The ribbon, if it's just sitting here, it should just kind of like drape or whatever. It should just do something like that. And then there's just this blob here again. But the biggest giveaway that is very notable in this art piece is the immediate shift to cell shading whenever this artist cannot use AI art anymore because it's a commission for a VTuber. The artist must have used AI to generate the base, as in the body, the skin, whatever. As you can see here, look at the rendering. Very, very airbrushed, very, very, very soft, okay? Why is this super harshly cell shaded? This black stocking is not even shaded, but the rest of the thighs are super shaded, super well rendered. What's cell shading? Oh, this is the worst circle ever. What cell shading is when you apply your shadow and your highlight color, you draw it with a very, very solid brush with no fuzzy edges, right? This brush is very solid and you do not blur anything out. It would be shaded something like this. This ball is horrendously shaped, but you got my point, okay? But you see here, cell shading has really, really harsh lines. Like in cell shading, you don't blur any of the lines out. It's really harsh. The difference is you don't use airbrushing either really in cell shading. Whereas this one that I just rendered, this one has a lot of airbrushing, a lot of blending, a big variety in colors that was used. So as you can see here, anytime the artist has to draw something, it's in cell shading because that's what the the artist can do, cell shading, right? That's what they're familiar with. Whereas when the AI does it, the AI does a much more heavily rendered version. So if we go back over here, looking at this art piece of this VTuber, if you look at the stomach, look at how soft, how rendered, how many different colors there are on the stomach. Look at the garter. It's only 2 colors. And I can show you this with the color selection tool, okay? With this eye drop tool, I will select colors from this art piece. What I want you to do, take a look at this color selector here. When I select different colors, it moves, right? When I select the rose, the circle moves to pink, and this element of the main selector selects the main color, it is pink. If I select this, it's blue. As you can see here, it jumped. Look at the stomach. I'm gonna select the highlight, it moved. I select here, it moved again. I select here, this part of the stomach, it moved again. I select this rim light, it moved again. I select the inside of the stomach, it moved again. I select this side of the stomach. Oh, look at it jumping. Even between 2 sides of the stomach, the color changes so much. Let's look at the garter. Again, look at the color selector. Okay, we have the main pink, we have the shading. Main pink, shading. Main pink, another part of the garter, it didn't even move. Another part of the garter, another part of the garter, another part of the garter, another part of the garter. It literally didn't even move. One thing that AI art does is AI art has a tendency to choose like a fuck ton of random colors for some reason when they use art. Most artists are lazy. They would never choose like 10 different colors to draw one shade of pink. The AI art has a tendency to do that. But yeah, like the stomach is, there's so many different color varieties in the stomach, but then the garter has like nothing. All of these behaviors, again, indicate this is AI art. I don't believe in the argument, oh, what if they're a new artist? They're just learning, like they're making these mistakes. Somebody who can render hair to this level should not be like cell shading like this when the rest of the body is so heavily rendered. And you could argue, oh, foreground, background. I would argue these garters are like a pretty core element of the VTuber. It's part of the VTuber's like outfit. So it should be rendered the same level as like other parts like the top. The artists themselves came back. Hello, I just woke up to AI accusations. I'll be addressing it right now, a thread. I'm curious. I've been studying art in school and mostly definitely know how to draw. Yeah. I believe that whomever is doing this is drawing over AI art, and whomever is doing this has art knowledge. Okay, these are pics of their traditional art. Yeah, it looks really good. That's the thing, like whomever is doing this has art background. I'm not saying they'd have no idea what to draw whatsoever. Like they literally drew over AI art. That's what we're trying to claim, that they're drawing over AI art, but that they are drawing some elements themselves. I started drawing digitally last month since my friend suggested me, what? Somebody who draws digitally is making this big of a progress in 1 month? I was originally a traditional artist. When I went from doing my traditional cross-scratching art to digital art, I literally had to relearn how to draw all over again. And anybody who went from traditional to digital art can probably agree with me. It is like an entirely new medium to where it feels like it literally strips you from all of the art skills you've ever contained in your body, and you have to relearn as if you're 5. As you can see, my traditional style is really dark. However, in digital, I want to change my style, more like anime. Let's compare one of my first posts here and one of my latest. As you can see, the cowgirl render is so much different from the other one because when I started learning, my old traditional habits were kicking in. Yeah, I mean, this looks really good. Okay, this is my old art account, okay? I was probably 12 or 13 when I drew this. But another example of like a pen drawing of a person, there's basically like no other pen work in this, which is like mainly what I did, which I'm really surprised about. Clearly, I know how to traditionally draw. Okay, trust me, bro. I have other much better pieces. I did a really cool thing of Iron Man. I don't know where it is now. And then I went to do digital art. And then my digital art looks something like this, okay? We were just drawing no chin people for a hot minute. Yeah, so this is kind of what my art pieces were looking like. Again, I clearly know how to do traditional art. This was supposed to be a chibi. I don't know why she looks like terrifying. And that was like for frequent drawing. I was like drawing in school all the time, which, you know, I should have been paying attention in class, but whatever's. That was with a lot of drawing. A lot of drawing. And it took me forever to start being able to make digital pieces like this. This took me years to build up to. This I did in 2019. I've been doing digital art for 3 years quite often before I got to this point. So you want me to believe that you can do this in 1 month from straight never doing digital art before in your life? I do not doubt this person is a good artist. I do doubt they could make this much progress in digital art in 1 month, because if any of you guys went from traditional to digital art, it's like you are 5 and you have to relearn art all over again. What I think is interesting too is like their traditional art is nothing like their digital art, which I think is kind of weird. If you do traditional type of like portrait oil painting, to go from that to drawing anime girls is a really big jump. Typically, you would have some background in drawing anime girls on traditional paper. Maybe it's just not their better work, so they didn't showcase it. I just think it's interesting. Also changed the style in general because I was taking different advice. So why switch to digital art? My friends told me I can make money, supposed to get paid. I was literally drawing day and night to improve. I was redrawing some art so many times to make it look better. Maybe I just suck at art, right? Maybe I'm just horrendous and it took me this long to get good at digital art from traditional. But typically, most people who made that jump took forever to get to this level of good. 1 month typically doesn't do that. But maybe I'm just really bad. could be me. People have accusing me of AI and showing some parts of my art that looks odd, but they're just my little mistakes. You're clearly really good at traditional art. So why would you cut the finger in this deeply? This is like a horrendous anatomy issue that your level of skill in traditional art should not have. Look at this ribbon with this extra leg. Your level of traditional art skill would not warrant a mistake like this. Your level of traditional art skill would not warrant this blob on the side. You can't even say, oh, I'm just being lazy, I'm cutting corners. Well, that's twofold bad, because one, like if you're doing commissions, you're just being really lazy. And this is not, I don't think it's a commission, but you're being really lazy on doing your commissions. But secondly, and the biggest thing is, again, these are like really easy to do. If you're cutting corners, you wouldn't cut corners by drawing wet water droplets and filling it in with skin tone. You would cut corners in other aspects. Maybe you'd cell shade the entire piece instead of heavily rendering the face, the boobs, and the stomach, and then just not rendering like any other aspect with that level of rendering. We just cell shade everything, call it a day. Because cell shading is easier to do, it's faster. Oh, and then here they're showing their art process to like prove that they actually drew it. It's so sad that I've actually succeeded for the first time here on Twitter. Now people are trying to drag me down. That's literally heartbreaking for me. I don't even know what to do in this kind of situation. Here's my progress. What? This proves nothing to me, by the way. This proves nothing. So turning on and off layers doesn't prove anything, because the thing is, like, I trace over AI, draw the layer, and then delete the AI image, and then now you have your traced layer. That doesn't actually prove to me you drew it yourself. So you know what the truest proof is? What they need to do is go on Twitch and then just live stream an art process. Just draw a brand new piece and let us see. Like, let's just see if the quality is up to par with the pieces that you are putting out. A lot of people are defending this artist. And here's the thing, I am an artist. I always try to err on the side of artists, but this is just so blatantly AI. And the thing is, most people that are defending this artist themselves are probably not artists, or you don't do digital art. If you are an artist and you do digital art, you can probably see the inconsistencies they're making has no matchup to the level of skill that they supposedly have. And with your level of traditional skill, you should not be making the errors that you're making in your pieces. So we have people in the comments, just ignore them. For some reason, they have time to put the same message in all participants. Just ignore them. But not this person with the comment, just ignore them, actually just having AI art as their profile photo. There have been cases of people pretending to show proof by showing the different layers, but are still stolen, trace AI, etc. work. Yep. So the most concrete proof you can show is a time lapse of your art from start to finish. Interesting how both sketch layers are 30 and 32, meaning they're newer than the rest of the painting. LMAO. Can't say that helps the case much. Oh! Is that true? I wasn't looking at the numbers. 17, 19, 21, no way. Wait, this is like either 22 or 32. So thank you everybody who supported me in this situation. Today was a really stressful day. I almost had a panic attack due to my poor health and stress, but I'm very thankful for everybody's support, sending love. I hate the guilt tripping. I'm really sorry that your health is suffering. I'm really sorry that you almost suffered a panic attack, that you wouldn't be in this position if you didn't do AI art in the first place. It's like, I don't know, maybe I'm sounding bad here, but it's kind of giving like I'm suffering consequences for my bad actions. Oh, NARS. Like if you didn't just draw over AI art and then sell it, none of us would be like coming at you for this. This is really weird to me though, because they opened up Procreate, but in the previous video, they showed the sketch layers in Clip Studio Paint.
Hey guys, I'm actually like super stressed out about this whole situation and AI accusations, so I'm showing you my full, like as I said, I redrawn the whole thing on Procreate, so I will have proper time lapse.
Oh, so they redrew it in Procreate. Okay, but Procreate has a feature where you can add an image as like a private image, so it's hidden and it doesn't show up in the time lapse. So that still doesn't prove it to me either.
As you can see, it's not edited. I'm showing you straight project from beginning, all the time lapse and my layers, and I just hope we can like finish this whole discussion, and that proves that I'm not tracing, and I don't really need tracing. I did have mistakes from places to places and inconsistent art style, but that was because I was trying things out and I was so focused on my render that I didn't really pay attention much to my details. And I hope that clears everything out and we will not get back to this topic. Thank you, everyone.
Let's slow down this time lapse. What the fuck is this supposed to be? Most artists who block out their art do not block it out like this. You would draw like a box for the torso, a box for the hips, and then the legs. What is this? You just brought like a box for the boobs, a circle for the head, and then like the trapezoid for where the legs go? Where's the torso? Normally, if you were to draw a pose, okay, you would draw a head. I try to draw the plane of the face. Again, different artists draw differently, but like the way she draws is like she's making things up out of thin air, okay? Then you would kind of draw like the plane of the body, okay, like a line, you know, try to like map where the focal point is gonna be if you're gonna put like some arms up or, okay, but then, you know, you would draw the torso, the box for the torso, okay? Okay, I'm just gonna put my torso over here. This is my torso. And then we have our waist here, and then we can do the hips. Then we can do the hips, okay? So we can have an arm over here, like on the hip somehow. And then this arm, I'm still using my water bottle example. Earlier today, I was showing you guys how it looked like drinking water. Okay, well, we'll put a little dumbbell, okay? We'll put a little dumbbell. It makes, lifting weights makes a little bit more sense than whatever I just did. This is typically how most artists who do digital art, and even traditional art, if you draw full bodies, would block out the body, okay? You would draw a circle for the head. You may not draw the chin. I always draw the chin in because it makes more sense in my brain. Then you would draw the torso, like the upper torso. And then you would draw the stomach and then the hips. You would connect the torso to the hips, okay? Because it makes sense. You don't draw a circle and then, oh my God, we're gonna draw bazonkas, boobies, and then hips. And then here's gonna be an arm and here's gonna be the arm. There are some things that can be done personal preferences, but no artist draws in this way. Circle for the head, boob box, and then legs. As we see here, there is a boob box with arms coming out of the boobs. This is just telling me this person doesn't know basic anatomy, but the level of traditional art they do should know basic anatomy. You always draw the head first as an artist. That's where you like place the rest of the body beneath the head. Why the fuck is there no head, but boob box again, trapezoid, and arm coming out of boob, but no head? Wait, they draw the head, but they render the boobs before they render the rest of the head. There's just a circle. It's not even closed. There's no chin, nothing, but boobs are appearing. Okay, you know what I'm really curious too? They draw in Clip Studio Paint, right? Why don't they just screen record in Clip Studio Paint? Why did they have to go to Procreate specifically for a time lapse? Because you can record a time lapse in Clip Studio Paint, by the way. You initially drew in Clip Studio Paint, but then you went all the way over to Procreate to do your time lapse when Clip Studio Paint can do time lapses. Unless Procreate, you can add an image in Procreate and then private the image so it doesn't actually show in your time lapse even though you can see it. But Clip Studio Paint doesn't have that option. It will record your entire screen. Why did they draw this tiny little frame of their model? You are on a tablet. Have you heard of zooming out? Holding the tablet like this? Oh, looks good for your thumbnail. And then we zoom back in and we move. Why did they draw this? Okay, because this is an art concept, right? A lot of artists will draw in like boxes or tubes to like flesh out the body in the initial sketch. Why did you draw the circle that would indicate the bottom of the tube for the torso after you drew the torso already? First, okay, not this, sorry. You would draw something like this, and then if you truly want to like flesh it out a little bit more, you know, then you would, you know, you could also go and like draw the tubes. You know, this waist is a tube. Okay, that's like a box for a shoulder here. But you don't do that after you already like cinched in the waist and everything. You see this line, you see that line. What is that supposed to represent? And what is this on the stomach? Why did she draw this? Why did they draw a V at the neck here? That's weird. What is that supposed to be? Wait, why do they draw these guidelines after? You're already drawing the bikini, bro. This is way too late to add guidelines now. What? Yeah, this is literally just designed to fool non-artists. Any artist can smell you off a mile away. Who the fuck does this? What are these lines? Tell me more about this, like, whatever wonky half U that you have on the lower belly here. Why is there a box by the belly button? Why is there a line by the hip? Unless you're gonna go and add highlights and shadows there later. Except no freaking artist does this. But guys, if you are an artist, you don't draw like that. You don't draw the shadows and highlights as sketch lines into your art. No genuine artist draws like this. Or very, very, very few. Okay, copy and pasting eye. Wait, no, they didn't even copy and paste the eye. They just drew one and then the other. This is again weird. So they drew one eye, then they drew the iris, then they drew the mouth. Which artist does that? Who draws one eye, moves to the mouth, and goes back for the other eye? Normally, don't you draw both eyes at once and then move on to something else? Yeah, no, he's literally sock shoe. Nobody does it like this. They draw in all of the shadow. This is like, okay, people who draw in shadow lines is like the deadest giveaway that you did AI art. They drew in the shadow lines here. But artists don't draw like this. You just add the highlights and shadows in after you do the sketch. You would have a blank sketch. Maybe you would add like relevant lines, like an ab line, but you would have a sketch like this. Okay, we have background. Cool. And then all of a sudden, bam, airbrush. Nobody airbrushes on the sketch. People in the comments of this video are gonna get mad at me because they're gonna be like, Kat, you can't be saying nobody does this. Like, I am the 0.00001% minority that I actually like to add the shadow on my sketch before I do the rest of the rendering for my art piece. Like, I actually do this. Okay, if this works for you, I am really happy for you if you are in the 0.0000001% minority. However, the amount of minority coincidences that are happening to this artist doesn't make me believe they're being genuine, okay? If they happen to be the one artist that draws the torso before the head, okay, cool. But they also happen to be the one artist that like draws a boob box and a trapezoid for hips and nothing else and has arms coming out of your boobs, okay? They're also the minority that does this. They also happen to be the minority that also shades their sketch in grayscale before they move on to rendering. Typically, people who draw in grayscale will black out, like will gray out the body, the silhouette entirely, and then grayscale on top of that. But, you know, maybe they're the minority that doesn't do that. They also happen to be the minority that has missing thumbs and hair disappearing behind ears and you know, bikini strings that randomly disappear or like get thicker and then thinner randomly, but it's just their traits. They're just like a minority 0.0001% artist that does this because it works for them. There's too many of these at this point. If it was a one-off, I could believe it, truly, but not when this many in this sequential. Oh, and they happen to be like the one artist that actually blocks in their shading and highlights with sketch lines. I am hard pressed to believe all of these are true. They line this side of the torso and they start lining the bikini and then they line the shoulder, but then they stop and they start lining the forearm and the elbow. Why are you jumping from place to place? They didn't even finish lining the bikini yet and they went to the arm. And then they finished the half of the bikini and then they started lining the side of the head. Okay, now they finished the arm. They go back to the left boob, but they still didn't finish this bottom line for the bikini. Yeah, they're literally going back and forth to make it harder to see. Like, what is this supposed to be? Oh my God. They reworked the line art and look. They're adding all the shadow and highlight areas again. Look at this area by the boob. That's going to be a shadow. Look at this armpit. That's going to be in the shadow. Look at this part of the stomach. That's going to be the shadow. But what are you referencing to get these shadow lines to appear? There's no sketch layer open. So are you referencing an image that we can't see? Because you have the AI art that you traced off of open as a private image at the bottommost layer of Procreate, which is why you recorded this in Procreate. Wait, look here, guys. You see how there's like a thin white line, like skin toned, and then the rest of this is the dark shadow they're applying? Why did you draw it like that? That is a lot of work for no reason. When you're adding your shadows, guys, if I have like a front on light source, there's gonna be a shadow under the chin here. There might be like a shadow on the underside of the boobs here. Basically, guys, when you're adding the shadow, later in your art piece, you might want to add a bounce light, which means if there's like a secondary light behind you, you would add that light to like the edge of where the shadow is, like this, okay? What you don't do is draw in your shadow already compensating for where the highlight is gonna be. You wouldn't draw your shadow in like this, you know, to be like, oh, I'm gonna put a bounce light over there later, so let me just cut it out like that. Nobody frickin' does this. Oh my God. You know why they made the mouth red? Because it looks really weird if the head is this color. But color theory, you know, when you add the shadow, then it makes sense. But how did you know that? Unless you color selected off of an image beneath it. But then now they start adding other... What is this supposed to be? You got like a leech on your person's body? Why is there a circle on the face? They purposely drew in a circle here and then they deleted it later. This circle shouldn't be here in the first place. There is nothing that would cause a little blob of light to appear on your chin like this from where the light source should be in this piece, which is behind the head. They keep adding random highlights like this, like the underboob highlight, and then it's gone again. Then you just get rid of it. Wait, you know what I'm actually really curious about too? But if I take this piece and overlap it with that other piece, does it line up? This is their Procreate drawing. What happens if I take this Procreate drawing and then throw it over their original drawing? All right, class, you tell me, how similar are the two art pieces? We have 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2. So you want me to believe that this drawing was a brand new drawing that you did in Procreate just to prove you can draw like this. But you didn't have this image open in the background to our eye. So, why is it like 1 to 1? It shouldn't be like this. Yeah, with all those sketch guidelines too. So you want me to believe that you didn't trace over the AI artwork. But yeah, to wrap this all up, we have this final tweet by this artist. What I want to say is if you guys ever want to accuse somebody of something, please reach out to them first, because maybe you are wrong and just throwing people under a hate bus for no reason. Okay though, cute arts, I'm gonna ask you this though. If I DM you and if I say, hey, do you use AI in your art? The answer is yes. Are you going to say yes, or are you gonna deny it to hell and high water and then drop proof that is further cementing the fact that you use AI art? Would you actually admit to it? I'm just curious, because I truly do not think they will, due to the fact that they've doubled down like over and over and over and over again. I think what they're doing is pretty bad, right? Because they are offering commissions, but the commissions are drawn over AI art pieces. And at the end of the day, does cute art have art talent? They do. They clearly have proven with their traditional pieces, this person is talented. This person knows how to draw. And we can clearly see this person is drawing over AI art, which makes it harder to prove, first off. But also, I just think it's really bad because they're taking people's money and then delivering essentially stolen art, because AI art is stolen art, like photo bashed together from artists. So what these VTubers are paying for what they think are original art pieces made by an artist, and they are getting stolen AI art as a result. So you're just scamming a whole bunch of innocent people out of their money for what is not genuine artwork. And again, if any of the VTubers in the art that I showed you guys looks like VTubers you know, it is not their fault. I truly don't think any of these VTubers knew that what they were getting is AI artwork. I don't think any of them would have genuinely like commissioned this person if they knew it was AI art. And I think another bad thing about this too is it sets a wrong idea for new artists. Here's another problem that comes up with these AI art people, okay, scams, whatever, right? Is that a lot of people would defend artists like Qtar being like, oh, they're just a new artist and they're making new mistakes. And it sets a really bad idea to beginner artists to thinking what their art should be, because they're like, oh, what if this person's a beginner artist, but their art looks so good? No, this person is just using AI art and drawing over it. It's not you. And I hate the defense for people like this that like, oh, they're just new, so they're making mistakes. Look at this art of Fryren, one of their pieces, all the mistakes I pointed out. These I cannot iterate to you guys over and over again, because a lot of people somehow will still like to defend these artists for some reason. I normally defend artists, but this person is blatantly using AI art. The thing is, these are not mistakes a beginner artist makes. These are not a mistake that like basically any artist would make, especially an artist of the skill level that cute art is supposed to be at. You're telling me you can render eyes this well? You can render hair this well? But then your person has like an extra palm. The pinky joint, for some reason, starts all the way back here, even though the rest of the fingers, knuckles are over here. And your thumb exists all the way up into the wrist. Your ribbon looks like this. You don't even have a proper loop. You can't even draw a loop, but you can tell me that you can render boobs this well, but you can't finish a loop for a ribbon. You're telling me you can render sweat droplets this prettily, but then you somehow connect the sweat droplet to the rest of the arm and makes it look like she's melting. But I just really wanted to elaborate this for you guys, or explain this, because for those of you guys that don't know art, it can be hard to distinguish how these elements are AI art essentially.